So if we have a static method, for example, I have super1 interface, which has one static method, and super interface 2, which has one static method. This is my implementing class, which inherit from super1 and super2. Okay. So in this scenario, you won't get any class. So static method is not belongs to any instances, right? It's a common to the particular interface. So when I implement super1 and super2, both has implemented static methods, automatically you won't get any class. So how can I call those methods from the interface? If the method is static, we are going to call that particular interface dot method. Okay, so that's what. Okay, so over here, if I have a method override in your class, then you can call through your object. Otherwise, directly you can call from the particular class dot my method. The same way, if another interface I3, which extends any of interface or two interfaces, still the default method will not get any conflict. Okay, any questions? So what happens if we have some method default, then you will get class. So if it is a static method, there will be no class. So if two methods have the same signature and both are static, then you won't get any conflict. So that is the rule about static. So static does not go with any conflict. So let me over the PowerPoint. So static methods do not class. Okay. Let's show you some exercise for your practice. Then you can tell me about the class rules, how much you understand. Okay. Can you look at the picture 1 in class exercise 1? Okay, so here is your interface iFace1, which has default behavior. You have interface iFace2, also have default implementation. Here is your class, which implements both interface 1 and interface 2. We have given a test class by creating an object of implement 1, and I'm going to print object.myMethod by passing input 2. So now you can tell me whether it produces a compilation error, runtime error, or 4 is printed on the console. Compilation error, because interface 1 has default implementation, interface 2 has default. When you inherit from both interfaces in class, automatically you will get class. So the answer is compilation error. Take a look at the second one. Interface 1 has implemented behavior, interface 2 has unimplemented. Still the same body. Do you have any error? No. 4 printed on the console, compile error or runtime error? Compilation error. That is what I show you in the demo. If interface 1 has default, interface 2 has unimplemented. When you implement in the interface, you will get clash, right? That's what I show you in the beginning, right? When you look at interface 1. Okay, let me show you from the solutions here. Okay, let's go for the in class exercise 7.4. I will show you all the code here, then it is easy for you. Okay, 7.4. Okay, problem 1. Your interface 1 has a default behavior. Interface 2 has default behavior. When I implement here, according to your code, there will be no implementation, right? So when you look at this code, problem 1, this is what we have, right? So this line will automatically produce a compilation error. So how can I get rid of this compilation error? You must override the method or put an mstrip body. This is your problem 1. Let's go to the problem 2. Interface 1, implementer. Interface has no implementation, but inside this class, if you have no implementation, it will give you compilation error. That is your problem 2. Still, you have a conflict. Any one implemented method, definitely it will give you a conflict. Okay, so to get rid of this issue, either abstract method or an implementer method. Let's see the scenario 3. Look at this code and let me know. Still, you guys are hiding. Did you caught by the shooter? You see his back. Okay. Okay, good practice. Okay, can you tell me the solution for this one? Either compilation error, runtime error, or 4 is printed on the console. 4 is printed on the console. As we have a static method, we won't get any clash. Okay, we have one static implemented method here with the same signature, right? So the static won't give any conflict, because when you do implements iphase1, iphase2, it will not make any conflict because this is a static method. If it is a default method, so both will get conflict. Now we have only one. This implementation by default come to your class. Okay, so now in your main class, I created an object. When I call object.myMethod, it will automatically call the default. So 2 I'm passing, 2 into 2, you will get 4. Okay,
Okay, thank you. It was just a drill, but if it was real, it's not likely to happen because we're pretty safe here on campus and everything, but it could happen somewhere. What you would do is you would lock the door, maybe take a table and take 2 desks and put it against the door, maybe tie it so that this person could not get in. And then you close the lights and then you go into the corner, get out of sight. Something like that. And then you would wait till you got an all close. It's not likely to happen, but if it would happen, you would get a message through your phone. You'd probably get a message from us and you get a message probably from the police also. The police can use the cell towers to send messages if there's something dangerous happening, just so you know. So that's what you would do. This was just a drill to say this is the steps that you would take if it ever happened. Not likely to happen, you know, we're a safe campus and everything, but it's good to be aware that these things happen somewhere. And it could happen here, it could happen in the country, it could happen anywhere. So just let you know. So you want to move quickly. Mostly you want to lock your doors so people can't get in. Okay? Any questions?
No.
No, you're in the middle of your course, obviously. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's test this code. Exercise 3. So interface 1 has default behavior. Interface 2 has static behavior. And in your class, when I do iphase 1, iphase 2, you won't get any conflict because one is a static, right? One is implementer. So there will be no conflict. Okay. So in your main class, I'm going to call ob dot. So it is an instance, right? So automatically the method default behavior will come. So what happened when I need a static behavior? Just call interface name dot the method. So here it calls the default behavior. So it calls the default behavior because I call through instance. Okay. So now when I call a particular static behavior, the usual rule is call class name or interface name dot static method. Any questions here? Okay, this is about the summary of class rules. Okay. So that's what the PDF file I show you for now. Okay. So now I hope you are all familiar with why do we need to override toString? Any idea? What happened when I not override toString in my class? When I print the object, the status of the object, it will print some address, right? So whether you do inheritance or not, by default, all the classes are inherited from object. So that is the ultimate root for every class. That's what, whether I have inheritance or not, when you put ob dot, you can able to see equals hash code notify toString. These are all not in your class, right? Even I don't have any inheritance. So it will come from the object class. If the particular method is not overridden, then which won't give a good behavior, right? So for example, if I override a toString method, these are the three methods we are going to look today, the importance. Okay, so for example, here is your account object. I want to print my account status in this format. So I should override the toString method in my class with this signature. You need to follow your keyword public, return type is string. The method name is toString. You have to return a string, whatever format you want. So better practice, always override the toString method to print the status of your object on the console. Okay. Now the equals. So if you want to know more detail, there is a supplemented slide has given to you. So we have only one slide about overriding equals. So when I override an equals method, if I have no inheritance, I don't need to worry about the behavior, right? I'm going to compare person and person. But when I have inheritance relationship, what else we need to be cautious when we override equals? So there are two strategies. First one is instance of strategy. Another one is same class strategy. So if these two issues, whatever we can consider. Okay, let's see the scenario one. If I have inheritance relationship, let me show you the code from your demo packages lecture.overriding equals instance of strategy 3. Okay, let me close these things. Okay, you have a person class. The same exercise you did it in the homework, I think before midterm. Person has a name and a constructor here. And over here, when you override equals, you want to check the runtime type, right? So whether when I want to compare, I can compare the object of same type, right? So for that, we are going to check if this is the input type is object. I cannot compare with the object type. I'm going to compare with person type. So I'm going to check if this object what you pass is not a type instance of person, I can simply return false. So whenever you use instance of keyword, even I have an inheritance relationship, person with job is inherited from person. So now what this statement will give you if I pass a person with job object. Person with job is an instance of person. So it gives me true. According to the inheritance relationship, your subtype is a type of parent too. It will give you true. Now, when I have inheritance, if you want to use instance of inside the equals method to compare, these are the rules. Okay. If I want to use instance of strategy, then keep your equals method as final, which means your subclass cannot override. You are going to depend only on parent version of equals. Then only I can compare person and person with job type, which means when you want to go for an instance of type, person with job is a type of person because of inheritance relationship. So in that scenario, if you want to make comparison of both types or if you want to compromise, then use only one equals in the parent type. But I don't want this parent type. I want to compare person and person, person with job and person with job. That is your second strategy. So for that reason, if B can use the same equals method in your A, we are depending on the parent implementation. At that scenario, if you want to use instance of strategy inside the equals method, keep your parent method as fine. Otherwise, it will make asymmetric equality. As per the inheritance rule, person with job is a person. When I compare person and person with job, it will give you false. That's what you analyze in your homework, right? Why person with job? One statement gives you true, another one gives me false because of asymmetric equality. So I want to use same class strategy, which means I can compare by using a get class method. So let's go to the same class strategy. Let me close this one. What is the rule? If I have inheritance relationship, but I want to use with the same class strategy, that time you can have two equals method. So inside the equals class, I'm going to compare if two objects are equal or not. by comparing get class. If both are runtime type is same, which means person and person, person with job and person with job. That way you can compare only if the runtime type is same class name. So at the time, I'm going to say if two persons are equal, only the names are same. When you go to the person with job, we are going to override the same equals method, but the type is person with job. So here, how can I say both are equal as both their name, right? Not salary, right? Do they have salary? Yes. So are we comparing salary? It's not comparing salary, right? Yeah, actually you can compare salary too. So person with job and person with job can compare. So in this main method, you are going to compare only person and person. If you try to compare with person with job, the runtime type is not same. So comparing person and person will give you true. But when you compare person with job and person, it gives you false, even if you have inheritance, because of the equality what we use is same class strategy. Please read out this conclusion point over here. So what else you to be cautious? So comment line, please read the comment line. And one more important, keep your subclass as final to avoid multi-level inheritance and avoid the confusions between the relationship. So that's what keep that class as final means. Person with job cannot be inherited further. So I would like to show you the conclusion for the instance of strategy. Any question here? Okay, let me
Question. So should we make both of them false or something?
no, over here, not
Okay,
both
I
of
mean,
them false or something. The scenario according to this conclusion is when you use same class, you can compare only person with person. Compare person with job with person. When you compare the two types, person and person with job, always give you false.
So
That's the conclusions.
how can we fix this to make both of them false? Because if
Both of them wants to be true, you can go for instance of instead of same class strategy.
so I mean this statement shouldn't be symmetrical. So either both of them should be false or both of them should be true.
No, here what we are doing, I'm going to compare P1 and P3, right? So P1 and P3 are same type. My equals method will going to check at the runtime. If both runtime name of the class is same, it will give you true. That's what we provided two equals method. So you cannot do this one. When you use the same class strategy, you should not compare different types. You can compare only. This is wrong. We don't want to do.
If we compare different classes, it should just return false, right?
Yes, automatically. Because of here, right? The same means we will compare and we do the casting here, right?
Yeah.
So if it is not a same type, then this part will not work. Okay.
I just wanted to make the first one false as well. Can we make
How
that
can I
happen?
make first one? Because both are same, right? Both have same name. Both are person type. How can you make false? If you want to make false, don't override equals. Automatically you will get false.
Okay, I see. It's a different variable. I see now.
Okay. Any other questions here? If you inherit another class, right? Then you should again override equals method to avoid those confusions. That is the reason. Any other questions here? Okay. And if I don't want, if you have inheritance, be careful when you override equals, either go with instance of or same class strategy by following these rules. Otherwise, when you go for composition, I have no issue at all, right? Anyhow, I can compare only person with job and person with job. So that's what the better to go for composition. So this is the homework you already did. So let's go with composition. Okay, composition. A person consists of person with job can include a person. So over here, if I want to compare, you can going to compare the name and the salary. So I'm going to check the name. And even here, you can even use your parent class equals method. I mean, not parent, So even inside the person class also I have equals. When you use composition over here, get class or instance of will not make any issues. So that's what. So inside the person with job, when you have composition, I can compare only two person with jobs are equal. I cannot compare person with job with person because I have no inheritance relationship. So if both are same, the values are same, I'll get true. Otherwise, I'll get false. Any other questions? This is about composition relationship. Okay. So now we are moving on to the importance of hash code. So whenever if your equal method says true, two objects are same, you have to make your hash code also same. Then only we won't get any issue when we put our collection on the hash collection like hash set or hash map. Okay. So that's what we are going to rule here is whenever you override a equals method, you must override hash code too. There are two different approaches from JDK8. We no need to write some implementation for this. Just call object.hash. It will give you a hash code. So the rulers maybe somewhere. Okay, there is not specified. Okay, let's go and see the importance of overriding hash code. Hash code package. You can take a look at. Please listen carefully. This knowledge is very, very important. Even when you go to the interview or when you go to algorithms paper, this basic is needed. So importance of overriding hash code. Okay, look at this example. I have a person class. Person has a first name, last name, salary, and a date of birth. We have constructor here and two string methods, some getter and setters. Any questions here? Persons have constructor. We override two strings, some getter and getter methods. We have a pair class, which has a string, two instance fields or type of string, first and second. The constructor can initialize those two values. Okay. Now we are moving on to the main class. We created a two-person object with the name Joe and Smith here, Annie and Jones with different values. So this is the data for all the persons. Okay. Now we are going to copy the hash map collection to store all these values. We make the key as a pair type and the value as a person type. Any question on this line? We created a hash map collection which accept key as a type of pair and value as a type of person. Okay, I'm going to make a key one object. New pair of, I'm going to get the P1 dot get first name. So what will be our person name will take here now is Joe, right? P1 dot get first name. What is the first name? Joe. P1 dot get last name Smith. Now we are going to have P2 dot get first name. What is your P2 dot get first name? Annie. And the last name is Jones. So this is your data for the pair object, right? And H dot put one of, we put the key one, which will be paired with the person one. Key two is paired with the person two. Any question up to this point? We just populated the data like this. Okay. Now I created another object, which is called lookup with the data Joe and Smith. It's similar like your key one, right? Key one also have the same value and the lookup data also have the same value. So this is we created another key object. Now we are going to apply some hash map methods in your collection. So what is that lookup? Is a type of pair. I'm going to call lookup.equals of key one. When you look at both has same data, right? I'm going to call equals method to compare lookup and key one. The next statement is I'm going to check H is your hash map collection. Dot contains key of lookup. So this method will return a Boolean value, right? So contains key will return a Boolean value. Equals key will return a Boolean value. Now I'm going to call hash map collection dot get of passing the key. So when you pass the key, what the get method will return? Return the value. What is your value type? Person. It has to return a person type. So we override the toString method when you look at the person class. We override toString to print the first name, last name, and salary as well as year. We are printing. Okay. If I run this code, what will be our output for these 3 lines? False, false, null. Okay, let me run this one. False, false, null. Why it's giving me null, false? The first statement. Because we haven't override equals method inside the pair class, right? So if 2 pairs are equal means I must override equals method inside pair class. So we have not override the equals method. That reason we receive a false value. Why this one gives me false? Hash map. We haven't override hash code. Even when you call contains key method from the collection, it will look equals method. How can we compare equal, right? Contains key means what the data you pass that should be matched with the key. But how can we compare that one? Using equals. Whenever if you not override, your collection contains key method will look equals method. We're going to use the equals method. So look up when my equals method is not override and hash code is not override, then automatically the get method will give you null object. So what we are going to do it in the next step is we are going to override the equals method. Okay, go to your bad2 code. Person, we are not going to do any changes. Okay, it's still okay. We override equals method in the person class and we have toString method here. And inside the pair class, we are going to override the equals method. Let's come to the test class. There will be no change. Still the code is same. When we run this code, what about this statement? We override equals inside the pair class and check both first values or second values are same. We are going to return true. So what happened? Can I receive true for this? Yes. What about this line? True. Okay. What about this one? Null. Okay. Let's run this code. True, because when you compare lookup and key, both are pair type. Inside the class, I override equals. When you do contains, before searching the key, it will look up the hash code value where that particular object is stored on your hash collection. So we have it override hash code. So for that reason, whenever you override equals, you must override hash code too. If it is something like this, it is okay for now. But when I keep my pair object or person object inside your hash collection, you should override hash code because the value stored in your hash map by generating a hash code value. Okay, so when you run this one, it gives me false. Okay, let's go on change the in good example or bad 3. Okay, good example. So what we are going to do it is inside the pair class, I override equals and also I override hash code. So this is your traditional approach to override the hash code value, whatever objects you have initial with some prime number to avoid any conflict. And maybe data structure, I mean algorithm course, they will teach you these things. And you can do some calculations by adding or whatever you want. You can do it. Then finally, return some number. We have to write our own logic to return some integer hash code. But from Java 8, simply call object.hash of pass how many values you compared inside the equals method. So equals method, I compare first and second. So how many instant fields you have, you must make use of all the instant fields in your comparison. The same way, pass all the names. Then automatically there is a hash implementation inside the object class that will generate a integer value. So now if I run my person class, so inside the person class, we override equals and hash code. Then go to your main class. When I run this one, okay, so if you run this one, I'll get true, and Joe Smith. Okay, if I not override hash code, let me go and show you in the main class. Okay, If I don't override a hash code, let's print the hash code. Okay, what happened, why I'm getting a false for this reason. Okay. Your equal say true, right? For this scenario, when I run this code, what will happen? Your equal say true, but you might wonder why contains key say false, right? Because your hash collection need a hash code value. Okay, let me print lookup dot hash code, and I'm going to print key1 dot hash code. Key1 dot hash code. So you will get different hash code. So for that reason, when you store in your collection, the P1 will take different slot and this one will take different slot. That's what when you look up, it will generate some key where to look up. So your algorithm will look the index where to search that particular object. So because of this one, it will get different slot. That's what you will get false. After overriding, okay, let me close all this one, right? But when you run this one, after overriding the hash code method, you will get the, if values are same, I will get the same hash code. So see here, that's what, whenever your equal says true, your hash code should be same. That is the rule. So this is the importance of overriding hash code. So the rule is always whenever you override equals, override hash code. Any questions here? Yes. Huh? The default implementation, I'm not sure. Let's take a look. Depends on your input, what you pass. It's a int value or float value or double value, depends on that. Logic will differ. Okay. So they do arise dot hash code of something. Okay. You can take a look at the library. Okay. They do something. Okay. If it is an object, I can take the hash code from the object. But if it is a int value or float or double value, that is in my FPP slide. If you want, I can show you. Not in MPP slide. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Okay, here is the rule. If your input is a Boolean, you can, if it is input is true value, you can return 1 or 0. If it is byte, short, character or integer, you can convert that value into integer. If your input is long, apply this logic in the formula while you generate a number. Depends on the data type. Okay. If it is a float, double, like that, you need to apply some logic. Okay. Okay. Any other questions here? Then we will be looking on another important knowledge about overriding equals and hash code, another knowledge. This knowledge you need to do your homework problem 1. Okay, I don't know how 8 students are already submitted the homework without completing the problem 1. Okay, okay, let's go and see the BAR 3 example. Okay, please listen carefully. This example. Okay, so here is a point class which has 2 instant fields, X and Y, and we have a constructor to initialize. I have some getter and setters. We override equals method, toString method and hash code. Any question on the point class? Okay, you have 2 instant fields, constructor, getter, setter. We override equals and hash code, toString method. Okay, now come to the test class. We store this one input in the set collection. Okay, so I created a set which hold the type of point. I'm going to add set dot add of a. Okay, let me open a paintbrush tool. So here is your set collection. Okay. So assume the table size is 5, your hash set table, which the name is called set. So the name of this hash table is set. Okay, so it will hold a type of point value. I'm going to call set dot add of a. What is your a value? X and y values are 5, 5. So, okay, according to this scenario, everything has some index. So you have some index value, right? So it will be 0th. Assume this will be, okay, we will come from here. So this is your index 0. This is your index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4. Okay. So now we are going to call a method called add of a, right? So what the method? Add of a. So a will be giving a input of 5, 5. Okay. So sum according to the hash table algorithm, assume this a will be stored in the location 2. Okay. Assume in the table by generating in the hash code and these values stored in the index 2. Okay. Now I'm going to check set dot contains of a. What will be the value returned for this one? True, Boolean value, right? Set contains a because I override equals as well as hash code and let's print the set. Okay, so I'm going to make command line everything and I will do one by one to show you. Okay, so let me run this code. What we done here is true, set dot contains of a, true, and it prints 5, 5. So for any questions? So we are going to modify the data by calling setter method. A dot set x of 8, right? And I'm going to check contains of a. Okay, let's do a dot set of a. So now what happened is this a somewhere in the memory, right? So now you're going to modify this a value with 8. So over here, we are going to do this by modifying this object as a will point 8, 5, right? Okay. So 8, 5. This is your modified data we call through setter. So this will be done through setters. Okay. We modify through setter method. Okay. So this is populator for the data 5, 5, right? When I want to store this one, how the hash code will you be calculated? Your X and Y inputs. Based on the XY inputs, it will be calculated. Okay, now I'm going to check system.out.println set.contains of A. What will be our output? True. False. You modified, right? So the value is 8 modified. Now what it will look in that particular index, right? So you are not modified through set collection. You are modified by calling a setter method. It is modified in that, but still when I search it, what it will do? Now your inputs are different, right? 5, 8, 8, 5. So your hash code algorithm will calculate with the input 8 and 5. It will be different hash code. Then it will look at in that location. Do I have anything in that location? Nothing. Maybe when I call a dot contains of, what will happen? Okay, when you do after modification, sorry. Okay, after modification, when you call a dot contains of 8, 5, right? Sorry, a means 5, 5, but what the data now is 8, 5. So now this data 8, 5 is not in the index 2. Because when I add the data, it will be 5, 5 with that index. So now for this one, it will produce your hash code, I mean hash algorithm gives different hash index. which means assume it will look it in index 3. So there 3, there will be nothing. So it will return false. Okay. Now what I'm going to do it here is I'm going to add a again. Now what is your a value now? 8, 5. So at this scenario, your input is 8, 5. So now what will happen? It will add into a different index. I'm going to print the set. I'm going to print the size. Okay. So now what will happen when I call add of a, right? So when you call add of a, it will add 8, 5, assume in the index 3 as of now. Okay. So in the index 3, we are going to add 8, 5. So now this is your hash table data. When I print it, what it will print? 2 values will be printed, right? And also it will give the size as 2. So when I print here, you will get 8, 5, 8, 5, 2 times. According to this scenario, the rule is set does not allow duplicates. But now, why this is? That's what we are going to conclude. Okay. So now this is conflict with the set collection. Set does not allow duplicates. But now you modified, right? You set X. Now what is your A value is? Add of A. You are adding again the modified values. 8, 5. So it accepts because when I first time added, it will be 5, 5. But I modify the data through setter. Okay. So let's go do this one. So here because of you modified through setter. You modified through setter. Okay. Now I'm going to remove. Please listen carefully. I do remove. Okay. So now what will be our output now? Set dot remove of A. I'm going to print the size. How come 0? Okay, 0. That is the one answer. Any other answer? 1. Okay. When I run this one, so size says 1. Okay, when I print the set, okay, after removing, let me print the set. If you want to know, sys out set. Okay, when I print it, what it will be printed? 8, 5. Okay, I do again. Still I have 8, 5, right? When I do remove again, does it remove? Same one, because we cannot do the hash code for this one. 5, 5 is still with that location, not 8, 5. Okay. When you do, you cannot remove because the data you modified is not done like with the hashing process. Directly you modify through setters. So the important knowledge from this example is whenever you put your object as a key type in your hash collection, either a set or a map, that key object should be immutable. If it is mutable, if you modify through setter, it will affect the rules about the hash process. So that's what the knowledge from this example is. Your key object should be immutable. Make sense? So that's the knowledge you gain from here. So how can I remove this one? Any idea? Let's do removal. I'm not sure. I haven't tested it. Okay, set dot clear. It will clear everything, right? But if I have something else, I don't want to clear. Is there any rule? When you apply clear or removal, it remove other data too, right? But I want to keep. How can I remove this 8, 5? How can I? There is only passing the key get a value. There is no index-based approach on hash collection.
The value and the hash.
Yes, we have to change the original value. Now a dot set x of 5. Then you remove, it will be removed. Otherwise, it never removed. By calling remove, you cannot remove this data. Okay, that is the one way you can change. What I can do it is a dot set x of 5. Then it will come with the original data. When you do remove a, and when you do the size, then it will work. See, 0. Okay, this is the way to remove the data. Okay, if you want to remove, keep the original data. Okay, if you want to remove, again, set x to 5. This is the one way. Okay, otherwise you cannot remove. Okay, so this is the knowledge for this one. I don't think so. I need 2 weeks to complete this. We are going in very slow phase. Still, we are in the lesson 7. Okay. Then go with the lecture slides. Okay, so you can refer this one. Okay, so how to make your object immutable? These rules already you are familiar with this. Let me explain the homework of problem 1. Then we will take 10 minutes break. Then I'll continue with the chapter 8. Okay, so go over your problem 1. Okay. So okay, so problem 1, we have some packages given to you. B to D, some source code is already available. When you extract this folder, the compressed file problem 1, let me show it from IDE. Okay, so this is an knowledge what you gain today. Importance of overriding equals and hash code. Let's go to the problem 1. Okay, problem 1, part B. You have an employee class as given to you with the name and salary, a constructor, some getters, toString, and equals method. See the signature, okay? You can observe everything. Whenever you override equals method, it should be object type, but over here it is an employee type. So when you have an employee info class which have some duplicate data, we are going to remove those duplicates data, and we have 2 lists, the list 1 with all duplicates data and the list 2 without duplicates data. So after removing, we are going to check if both the lists are equal or not. When I run this code, I will get false. You should identify the reason. There is no mistake here, okay? There is no mistake in the employee info. Your task is you need to identify why this return a false value. That may be importance of overriding equals or hash code. You have to look at the given code, or we use hash code, or are we using hash collection or array collection, whatever it is, you should know why it gives me false. What's wrong here? Why your solution gives me false? Okay, you can take a look at this code from the employee class and identify where was the issue. If you want, you can fix and run the code. It will give you true. Okay, but the requirement for this problem is you should explain the reason why it gives false. So what you can do it is inside the same package, you can open a new text file and put a reason and upload your reason. That is enough. Okay, this is a problem 1. Okay, go to your problem 2, employee class. So we override the equals here. Okay, and I'm going to run the same code, but still it gives me false. Identify the reason why it gives false. So this code will override equals in a proper way, but still I'm not getting a true answer. You have to identify where was the issue. The same way, part D, we use here as some hash collection 2. Okay, look at this code. When I run this code, still this code gives me false. Okay, if you look at the employee code, okay, so this employee we override equals. So this is the traditional approach to generate your hash code by yourself. There will be no issue here. Okay, so now still I override equals and hash code. But why? Look at this code. Why this code gives me false? Okay, just need a reason. If you want, you can identify the reason and fix it and run the code. Okay, but I will upload when I the solution, I will fix and upload it. Okay, you can refer for that. But according to your requirement, just mention the reason where is wrong. Point out the wrong and the reason. Any questions here? You no need to submit with fixing, but if you want, you can try by yourself. That's not requirement. We request a reason why it gives me false answer. Okay. Text file, yes. Text file. Problem B, answer. Problem C, D. Okay, only the text answer. One text file with all three answers also fine. Okay. Any other questions here? Okay, let's take a break, 10 minutes. We will talk. Okay. Okay, you guys can take a break. Oh, I didn't share my screen. Oh, I forget to share my screen. Sorry. When I record.